Hey folks, in this video, let's talk about pensions. For our generation, that is the millennial generation, people born between 1981 and 1996, pensions are unheard of. Pension was a thing in India for some people in our parents' generation, mostly for those who worked in government jobs. Even in the United States, pensions began fading away in 1980s and 90s. But what I found interesting was the amount of pension wealth currently exists in the world. As of the beginning of 2025, the global GDP is around $115 trillion dollars, and total global pension wealth $25 trillion dollars. So total pensions in the world is roughly 20% of the global GDP. But the way this pension wealth is distributed between nations is even more telling. Almost half of all global pension wealth is concentrated in one nation alone, the United States. Then Japan, Canada, and others. If you take eight top countries on this list, they make up over 80% of the total global pension wealth. And if you take top 23 nations on this list, out of what 195 odd total nations in the world, they make up over 96% of all global pension wealth. I just want to point out United States domination here. US GDP is roughly one fourth of the global GDP, but pension assets in the United States are almost 50% of this universe. This lines up with one more metric: financial market capitalization. Total global equity or stock market capitalization is a little over $120 trillion, dollars, or it was as of mid 2024. Combined global stock and bond market cap was over $250 trillion dollars. But if you look at United States, US made up almost 50% of the total global equity market cap, almost 40% of the total global debt market cap or bond market cap. Such is the domination. And the same pattern then we see in the global pension assets as well, almost 50% of the universe. One inference that we may draw from this is that larger presence of pension assets in a nation may be an indication of the maturity of financial markets in that country, in my view. Because look at this list of 23 nations. Most of them are high income economies based on GDP per capita. Even China and Malaysia are not that far off from being classified as high income economies. I think it takes around $14,000 in GDP per capita, according to the World Bank, to be classified as a high income economy. And these two countries are not that far off. And most others are way higher. They are developed nations. I think it takes 25 to $30,000 in GDP per capita at least to be classified as a developed nation. Again, point being, as a nation develops, its financial market is also more likely to mature, which should reflect in a higher presence of pension assets in that nation. Of the total global pension pool, India has barely 1% of that asset pool. Pension plans, by the way, used to be the cornerstone of financial security for retirees. The idea behind pension plans is that employees will make mandatory contribution with each paycheck during their working years to a pension asset pool, and once employees retire, they receive monthly benefit for the rest of their lives. The challenge global pension funds are facing right now is of an aging population. The number of people drawing benefit from pension asset pool is rising. According to a study by Equitable Institute, US public pensions faced shortfall of over $1.5 trillion dollars in 2023. That's huge. Clearly, the asset pool in these pension plans is not generating enough cash flow to meet all the benefit requirements, which drives these asset managers to invest in riskier assets. For example, let's take hypothetical case that all the US public pensions are invested in US government bonds, which are considered risk-free investments, and these bonds offer, let's say, 4% interest. Clearly, that is not generating enough cash flow to meet all the benefit requirements for the retirees. They are $1.5 trillion short. What these asset managers may do is they might invest part of the money in riskier US bonds, maybe private company bonds in the US, or riskier US stocks, private company stocks, which may give them 6% interest instead of 4% interest. And that may cover some of this shortfall, but higher the return, higher the risk. And if that high risk materializes, that will put these retirees at even more risk, which may be greater than just $1.5 trillion in shortfall. As far as our generation is concerned, most of us have no access to such pension plans. In the US, many employers offer 401k plans, though, where an employee can choose how much of the paycheck he or she wants to invest through a 401k plan and which asset to invest that in. I think this provides us with greater control over our retirement planning. Or we can choose to invest outside of our employer offered plans by opening a brokerage account. In India, I think employers offer provident fund plans using which employees can invest for their retirement. But I'm not sure if you can choose the asset class in which your provident fund money can be invested in. Anyways, I hope you found this analysis interesting. I'll speak with you again next week. Until then, take care.